All right, folks, Module 10. There aren't very many more of these, or any at all. And here we are in a recording setting, very different from the one that white folklorist Robert Jameson describes after hours in a store in Champaign, Tennessee in 1945, recording a group of African American musicians. I added this article to our reading as part of my effort to infuse this course with diversity, a diversity of views, writing, media, etc., and also a sense of the diversity of music that happens in and around our region. I also bring it up in the context of the other related recordings about transmission and teaching. Jameson and his cohort carted their recording gear around the South as mendicants, he says, begging permission to record, and yet they also shaped a great deal of the culture they visited through their presence, and much more with their recordings. So I consider with Kay Chalamet, referring to her chapter in Shadows in the Field, quote, the role of the ethnomusicologist who, while seeking to document the transmission process, becomes part of it, end quote. Like Chalamet, I've written letters to support visiting musicians' visa applications, most recently for the band Che Appalachia, a Buenos Aires-based string band. The influence that I hoped to have through this move was accomplished. They're provoking all sorts of reactions about where and to whom North American string band music belongs and what it can be used to communicate. Scott Linford's work coaching UCLA students to play bluegrass and old-time music out in California brought up some cases of musical mixing and exploration that seem similar to the Che Appalachia project. His emphasis on learning about traditions and then on how they might connect with others makes sense within a California institution of higher education. Would it make sense in a jam program teaching old-time music to school-age kids in rural southwestern Virginia? Is the cultural experimentation of Linford's group and of Che Appalachia an affront to ideas of tradition in string band music? Is there damage done here? Is there amazing, productive cultural fusion and awareness broadening that can happen? Maybe both. I encourage you to read the recommended Kislyak and Gross essay if you've got the time. It's a fascinating discussion from instructors in a higher education environment dealing with performance ensembles that appropriate African traditional movement and musicality. These are questions, the ones that they raise, that all of us are asking in our professional and artistic lives, especially for teachers. Chalamet's discussion of preserving, memorializing, and mediating tradition concludes with a list of suggested best practices on pages 152 and 153. Consider these bits of advice as you consider your ethnomusicological projects, and all of your projects, perhaps. One more point from Chalamet. Her comment that ethnomusicologists can be interpreters of a tradition, not only outside a community, but inside it as well, reminds me of a central question of this course. How appropriate is ethnomusicology for use in the Appalachian region? Think about what we should be doing to work within the music and sound communities that we're studying and in which we live, and of the field and community of Appalachian studies. What can we bring to these people from our ethnomusicological study and research? I hope you found elements of ethnomusicological theory, methods, and content that will enrich your work and your research and your daily life. The emphasis on process, the focus on people making music, is one that's proven transformational for me in many areas of my life, and I hope it'll stick with you and be useful. Contact me with any questions as you finish up your project, and stay in touch as you continue to listen to the world out there. And just as a very ending note, I hope you will look at Alex Frank's thesis. And there's hope. You can go on and write about music and finish up with your project and go on and do other great stuff, as she has. All right, keep your ears open.